Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the live. It is 8:30, and we're here for another Sunday night live with Captain Matt, Boat Buyer Secret Weapon, and all of there we are, Ray. You're back on track, my friend. Welcome, welcome, everybody. We are ready to go. It's getting warm out. I'm all over social media, all the Facebook groups I'm in. It's people taking their boat out, getting them cleaned up, shined up, fixed up. Thanks, Ray. I appreciate it. Sound good. Getting fixed up, getting out on the water for the first couple of times. I'm seeing several posts, and I was out. I went to Lake Wiley, which is the lake right around here, that I used to sell on. I was there filming last week sometime and was talking to some dealers, talking to some folks in the industry, and they've been saying there's a lot of folks getting towed in, which is very common for the first couple of weeks as the summer gets going. It's why I created this video right here, which is key areas to inspect to de-winterize. Just when you get out of the water, going through these things before you head out for your first fun outing. Go ahead and do your first kind of, all right, we're going to check everything out before we go on our first fun outing. And you can do most of it on land if you're not super near the water, but just do the checks, follow that video, and I think you'll find that your first outing will be much more enjoyable and less likely to end up in a tow. We also had the state of the boating market come out last week, or I guess this week. Came out on Thursday, I think, 3 days ago. So yeah, it would have been Wednesday or Thursday. Calvin, good to have you. Welcome back, sir. And just kind of an update on what I'm seeing. I released that before I went to the lake, or I recorded it and put it together on the 26th, which was Tuesday. I went to the lake on, when did I go to the lake? Thursday or Friday? Maybe even Friday it was. But I talked to one of the dealership I used to work for, the general manager there, and he was like, that's exactly what we're seeing. They're seeing the new leads coming in just slowing down a little bit, but they carry Harris pontoons, Nautic Star, Sea Ray, Yamaha Jet Boats, and St. Dorcas. Welcome, Brock. Welcome, and that's good. Welcome, Saint. Glad to have you join us on a quiet night. So, Brock, good to have you back again, and joining us, as whatever else you have on your other side of your split screen. Robert from Ohio, welcome. Robert was on the podcast. Brock has been in. And was on the live, actually live and in person with me when I was down in Charleston, or in, what was that, January, I guess. Calvin has been on a number of times. Ray has been the first on the live for, I would say he's shooting about 97% on that. And Atomic Media, welcome, first time, watch your videos. Oh, I need to put these up here. I'm not even doing my job. Highly recommend the Yamaha Jet Boat. Great value. Still recommend. Yeah, absolutely. Atomic Media. I would still put, although the Rotax engines, and what is it, Vortex and Scarab are probably picking up a little bit of market share, and I think mainly that's because the Yamahas are just, the demand is way outstripping the supply right now with Yamahas. I was just saying about the dealer that I used to work for, talking to the general manager, and he said, "Listen, we're sold out of 2022 Harris's, Sea Ray outboards, Nautic Stars. They had 2 in the showroom, and 2 they had 2 Harrises on the water, but those were customer boats going to be delivered. They were just checking them in and doing the shakedown, which they do a really good job there. It's one of the reasons why I chose to sell there when I got started, of their reputation. He said they still have allocation of Sea Ray stern drives. We're 3 hours inland, so stern drives are still a great option in my mind, on the inland lakes. He said, but we're on 2023s for most everything, and the manufacturers are still holding allocation, which means that if you watch the video, what did I call that one? If you watch the video about ordering new boats, kind of how it works, I'm not seeing that one. Oh, there we go. Why is my boat taking so long? I talk about how it works from the manufacturer side, the dealer side, and why you may hear somebody's getting their whatever XYZ manufacturer boat before you. And so he said the allocation is still super, super tight. So Yamaha Jet Boats is another one that they carry. They didn't have a single one on the showroom. All of theirs are sold through the end of the year. And in 2023's, they're selling production slots, as are a lot of dealers around the country, where, hey, we'll get you in line. A refundable, typically, deposit will get you in line, and then when we know what the pricing looks like, model year changes, all that, we'll figure out the details. But this will hold you a spot in line, and so I would still put the 212. Who has Robert, a Pontoon guy? Let's see if Charlie is on Hux, or who else is a Yamaha guy? We've got Atomic Media. We've got a couple guys that show up on the lives quite a bit, that have just taken delivery of new 2021 Yamahas, maybe 2022. I don't know what the model year they all got, but I know 3 or 4 guys off the top of my head that have been in the comments and have been on the live. So if you join us, go ahead and send Atomic Media a message and let them know your experience. Let's see. I'm in the market, called everywhere to find, nowhere to be found, 300 miles, telling me 2023. Yeah, it's Atomic Media. I would say, from the conversation that I just had on, I think it was Thursday or Friday, with a long time. They were selling Yamaha Jet Boats. We picked them up when I was there back in probably 2010 or 2011. So over 10 years, and they sell a bunch of them because they have 6 locations, and they're not able to get them. Nobody is able to get them. Just they're not able to get them produced right now. And but with that said, if you can find one, the 212s I know are super, super popular. If you can find one, that's what you want. I think you'd be happy with the boat. And no, it's a mid-level, as I think all of the jet boats are. They're in that mid-tier of fiberglass boats. So everything's not going to be perfect. Like, I would say Cobalt, Formula, that level. It's not going to be built to that level, but it's going to be super, super nice. It's affordable. It's reliable. It is just a good, fun running boat. I've run the 212s from. I haven't run one recently, but they're fun, quick boats to run if that's your style. So, a bunch of guys in the Sportsman forum been posting their dealers are 4 to 6 months out. 300s, Yamaha 300s, they can't get their boat. Yeah, it seems to me, from what I'm hearing in the industry, my industry contacts, is the Yamaha higher horsepower Yamaha outboards are the ones that are being hit the most with getting them out the door. Um, I don't know if they use some different parts or if it's just the demand for them with the bigger center consoles and things going to the bigger horsepower. Even on the pontoons, you're seeing, used to be 150 was the most common. Now that's pushed up to 200 from what I'm hearing. And the people, it used to be 225, 250 was the big daddy, and now you're seeing 300s, 350s. I saw racing 400s on a pontoon, two pontoons when I was at the dealership the other day. So it's interesting. But if they go with the Mercs, they can get them. Mercury, Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, they don't have the shipping issues. They don't have the overseas issue as much. They build their own blocks. They're forging their own stuff. As long as they can get the raw aluminum, um, Yamaha or Mercury is able to build motors, and from what I've understood, Mercury hasn't had the same issues that Yamaha Outboards has getting them delivered. Yamaha Jet Boats is also having huge issues getting their boats out the door, even though they're made here in the States, but I don't know where their motors are made. I'm guessing their motors are made overseas somewhere, but I don't know that specifically. My cousins were able to land '03 Malibu, save them from getting good. That's awesome. Getting the scrapped Nautique. Hey, it's I say this all the time. I just responded to that somebody in the comments today that said, "Hey, are the 1996 fountains any good?" I think it was a fountain. And I say this anytime somebody talks about a used boat that's over 5 years old or older, 10 years especially, is it's not about the brand at that point. If you were to say, do you want a Nautique or a Malibu? I would say I want a Nautique new. I think Nautique is Nautique Centurion, probably are the two best. I'm not a huge wake boat guy, so I would need to dive in deeper to put that down on video, but I would say I would take the Nautique. But if I'm getting an '03, I don't care what the brand is. I'm inspecting that boat. And Saint, I don't know how many people that are buying or have bought boats, but it seems like everybody is in the market for a boat. You've got a story for everybody. That I think you had the jet boat. Somebody that was buying a jet boat that you ran. Maybe that was even for you. You had somebody with the Bayliner putting the tower on it last week. You are in the know. So that's awesome. A bunch of boating friends. That's a good thing. Should we be worried that Yamaha may try to cut corners due to supply chain? Just get the boat. Unfortunately, Atomic Media, I'm talking to Yamaha dealers. Um, I have heard this was probably 6 months ago. It talked to like two or three in a row that said the Yamahas that they were getting delivered um, were not up to the standards that they were used to. Now, I don't know that it's them cutting corners necessarily. Here's what I think it is they're having um, personnel issues. They can't keep their factory staffed with quality craftsmen, so they're making just dumb production mistakes because they're inexperienced, because the boats are going not through the whole thing. And again, this was about 6 months ago. They're not going through the whole build process in 8 weeks or 6 weeks, whatever, but they're starting and stopping because we can't get this part, so we can't move to the next phase. We can't get this part, we can't move to the next phase, and things get missed in there. And then you add the we'll call it skilled labor issues. It can't get the skilled labor to do the work, and I know for a fact that Yamaha's had some issues. It's why, and it's not just Yamaha; it's everybody. They're delivering boats with more defects than ever before, and they were never perfect. Boats have never, even the best boat on the market doesn't deliver 100% perfect boats 100% of the time. They're 100% have at least one or two issues all the time. The best dealers will find those issues before it gets to the customers. And I talk about this in my um, key facts you didn't know about the boating industry, and there's another one where I talk about it, where I talk about new boats. And I don't. These are all. If you guys haven't, these are all U.S. Boat Expo interviews where I interview different folks. There's some pretty interesting videos. This is a certified marine tech from Ipswich, Mass, and he was a really good interview. But anyway, I don't remember where that video is, but it's somewhere in there. But they all have some sort of issues when they come in. The dealer's responsibility is to find those before they deliver the boat. So here's what I'm recommending previously, and even more so now. If you're going to buy a new boat, and if you want one, you got to just take the leap and get on the list for Yamaha. Maybe you can find a Scarab, maybe you can find a Vortex, although resale value in my mind is going to be better on the Yamaha. The Scarab and Vortex, I think regionally there's probably some stronger dealers, but overall in the US, I think you're going to be in better shape with the Yamaha experience. And all that is, don't just sign the paperwork and say I'll be there to pick it up next week. Run that boat first, inspect that boat like you're buying a used boat, and find anything that's maybe wrong with it, and then address those issues. I talk about it I briefly talk about it at the very end of the state of the boat buying market. I always put, if you are going to buy a boat, here's some recommendations. So that's like probably 25 minutes in, you can get to that section if you want to. Atomic Media. Silver Stranger, welcome back. Always good to see you able to join us. Hopefully your dealer will let you know. They should they should be giving you some good updates. And the better dealers will kind of just shoot straight with you as, hey, we're seeing some issues, but that means we're going through them in more detail before we deliver them. And then as a consumer, you want to go through in more detail before you write the check, before you sign the paperwork. Hey, this boat's not up to the standards. How are we going to deal with it? We're going to fix it, or I'm going to walk, depending on what that issue is and what your experience is. And I want to run this boat on the water for a good 15, 20 minutes. I talk about the toolkit. I talk about the First Time Boat Buyer Academy, how to demo a boat the right way, go through all those maneuvers, run through all the systems, and then great. Now let's go. Okay. So hopefully that's helpful for you. Atomic Media. Saying my grandpa had the Jet, my dad had the Bailey. We're a boating family, fresh out of the military. They worked industrial. They had toys. Hey, you got to have your toys. Got to have your toys. Sustainability. Do prop guards work, and are they worth it? Now, when you say prop guards, sustainability, tell me exactly what you're talking about, because in my mind, guard. Okay, so if you are talking about this thing, I'm not a fan. I think they probably, they work in the sense of nobody's going to get chopped up. That is, to me, that issue should never even happen. Like that should never there should nobody be by that prop when it's spinning. Nobody should be sitting on the bow of the boat dangling their feet in the water. Nobody should be leaning over the bow of the boat or the side of the boat. Nobody should be in the water when you're firing up the boat and putting it in gear. Nobody should be sitting on the swim platform when you're underway. You shouldn't be operating the boat when people are swimming around. You should know where everybody is at all times when you're putting that boat, starting it and putting it in gear. So in my mind, it is a safety precaution that is, hey, I'm not going to be a responsible captain, so I'm going to put this on there. If that's what you're talking about, that's my take on it. Now, if you're talking about this one, I don't know. I don't have any experience with that. I've run in some shallower lakes, but it's never been an issue. Watch your depth finder, pay attention, know the water. But there's some rivers and some what's that uh crap, Brock, the one that Santee, the Santee Cooper. But anyway, there are some lakes where that's an issue. So if that's the one, I don't know. I don't know how well that's going to work. My gut tells me it could save you in some situations, but it's going to break your skeg in the other. But I don't have any real experience. So, all right, let's go. I'm going to jump ahead to Silver Stranger. Average amount of hours a boat is expected to accumulate each year, like a car, miles per year. There is Silver Stranger in segments. So if you're a freshwater lake boater that's just a pleasure boater, 50 hours a year is kind of that number where I would expect the engine to get 25 to 50 hours a year. The further north you go, the closer to 25. The further south you go, the more to 50. And that's because they're going to sit anchored out at the sandbar, and they're going to float a lot more. If you're a coastal boater and you're going offshore or you're doing fishing, you could be out for an 8-hour day on a lake and only run your engine maybe 30 minutes to an hour. If you're out fishing offshore or trolling for an 8-hour day, you very well may run your engines for 8 hours. So on the coast, I'm going to say it's probably closer to 100, maybe even 150 if they're doing a lot of fishing, if they're running offshore. And because of the currents, because of the tides, they do a lot more running than freshwater lake boaters do. Pleasure boaters. If you're a wake boater, if you're a wake surfer, that number is going to be 100 to 150, with some people doing even more. Because again, just like the trolling fishing is, you're out there for 8 hours a day and you're surfing or wakeboarding, you're probably running that boat for 6 of those 8 hours. And you're running, putting actual hours on the engine, which is what the hour meter reads. So you're 100 to 150. And there's guys I know that surf that put 300-400 hours on their boat a year. Some folks at the coast that do that as well. And they'll put a ton of hours because they're actually running the engines trolling or running offshore, and they just keep them running when they're offshore a lot of times, because a motor running is more likely to stay running. A motor turned off is more likely to um, not start. That's the mentality, and I don't want my engine not to start when I'm offshore, so they'll just leave it idling, or trolling as well. So hopefully that answers your question. And I want to, Silver Stranger, it's not coming to me what boat you just took delivery of a boat, if I remember right. Um, so you've got your boat, but why do I think it's a jet boat? Um, anyway, let me know that answers your question, and thank you very much for the contribution. You have always been very, very generous with every time you ask a question, making a contribution, and supporting the channel, and that's very much appreciated for sure. So thank you for that. And if you got any follow-ups, just drop them in there, and I will see it. Okay, so prop guard. Now I'm going back up. If I missed you, just go ahead and re-put it in the comments, and I'll try to. But if somebody's a member, or makes a contribution, I'll jump to them. Boat in the water last weekend. Naturally, still waiting. By the way, the condo association. Okay, that's awesome. I super appreciate that. Ray was kind enough to bring up the best boat captain on the water program with his condo association on his lake there in Indiana. and letting people know, hey, this is a program I'm going through. It's really good, and I appreciate you sharing that information. Ray's got a shirt coming to him. As a matter of fact, I'll do this real quick. Um, let's see. Did I miss? Oh, so Hux has got his maiden voyage coming up. That's exciting. Hopefully the weather holds up and you're good. Let me show you this. If anybody would like to help out with this, I'm not sure if you may or may not have gotten an email, but this is a new system that I'm putting in to kind of gather people's stories. See if you can hear it or not. I don't know. So that was Chris. Chris had invested in the First Time Boat Buyer Academy. He was on the podcast, and he invested in the Best Boat Captain program. And so I've got this new program where I send you a link, and it will automatically record a video and just drop it to me. So if you want to say he had some really nice things to say, and I ask a question: what made you decide to watch the videos or invest in the program? Anything you would tell other boaters, and things like Atomic Media. Um, if I think I might call it an ambassador, but if you wanted to be a little bit if more formal and help out with the program, I can send you a link. It'll access your video camera, you record it, it goes right to the database, and then I get it. And then I can use that in my marketing. If anybody would be willing to help out with that, and just say whatever is honest and whatever is true, I would really appreciate it. Just shoot me an email. Shoot me an email to captain at Boat Buyer's Secret Weapon, and I'll send that over to you tomorrow. But it's a pretty cool system. I'm just trying it out, Chris, and I sent it to like 20 people the other day. But if you would want to help out with that, I would super appreciate it. So, all right, let's see here. All right, we had another one come in with a Louis Rangel. Louis, I think I've seen you in the comments before as well. Looking at a 2022 B52, the 400 Raptor, 400 hours, second thoughts, new to boating. Okay, so the same thing. I'll say the same thing that I did about the 2020 MB. So this is a surf boat. So I'm not really that worried. I'm gonna just pull it up so everybody can see the boat that that we're talking about. Not the specific boat that you're looking at, but the style. And so it's a surf boat. So the hours that I was just telling Silver Stranger is on the surf side, it's not uncommon to put 150, 200 hours on it. And on that engine, that Inmar engine, I mean, that thing's going to have 1,500 hours in it easy if it's well taken care of. Here's the good thing in my mind. If everything else about the boat is in good shape, you feel good about the price, um, you're probably getting a great boat. And here's why is because engines ballast tanks, systems, they're all made to be used. And this boat was obviously used consistently over the last 2 years, 2.5 years, depending on when it first got dropped in the water. So 400 hours, 200 hours a year, I'm like, "Hey, this boat got used. I'm gonna inspect it completely. I'm gonna go through that toolkit. If you haven't got the toolkit, grab that. It's free at, what is it? Boatbuyertoolkit.com. I think we'll get you there, or just go to the website, Boater Secret Weapon, and it'll be on that first page. You can get it for free. Just go through that checklist, run all the ballast tanks, run the surf system. I don't know what MB's surf system is, but engage the surf system. Um, all the switches, go through the entire touchscreen. If it's got the touchscreen, I would assume it does. Go through all the system. If it's a dealer that's selling, have them teach you how to use it. If it's an individual, have them push the buttons and whatever. Try to learn it, because you can go deep into some of those screens. But here's why I like it. My parents did the same thing. My parents bought a 2 or 3-year-old used Tritoon that was in a boat club. It had 500 hours on it, on the 150 Mercury 4-stroke, had 500 hours on it, and it was 2 or 3 years old. And my dad's like, it's got too many hours on it, but it's a good deal. It's what we want. It's the right layout. And I'm like, that's perfect, because you're not going to put, my parents are mid 70s. They're not going to put 200 hours on that boat a year, but they're going to have this for the rest of their life. And they're not going to get nowhere near that 1500 kind of useful life of a motor. And I would put the Inmar in that same thing, in that same category. So I really think, Luis, that if everything else checks out, you feel like you're getting a good price on the boat, use the magic money saving method on negotiation. That's in the First Time Boat Buyer Academy. Negotiate on the price if you haven't already. Maybe there's some additional discounts, but I would feel really good about that boat, and the 400 hours doesn't worry me. It doesn't worry me at all, because, hey, if it was going to break, they would have broke it in 400 hours. If that engine's not going to hold up, usually in the first 20 to 30 hours is when, if you're going to have an issue on a newer engine, that's when they're going to come in. And the other issues aren't going to come until you start hitting 1,000 hours or so. That's when you're like, okay, now we got to keep up with the maintenance and things like that. So that's my thought on it. And it's not, I think it's different than what a lot of people would expect me to say, but that's my take on a boat with that number of hours. Is I'm like, okay, I'm totally good with that. As a matter of fact, I had a buddy of mine is buying a Chaparral that is a '07 with 90 hours on it. And he's like, "Oh, it's great. It's low hours." And I said, "Well, that I'm a little bit more concerned about, because you got to make sure you go through all the systems, make sure he's buying it from a good, reputable dealer." So I'm, you know, I feel confident. They say the compression's good. The compression's good. If he's going to lake test it, we're going to find any issues that need to be found. They're going to change out the impeller and the gear lube and all that. But I'm more concerned about mechanical items that don't get run very much over a long period of time than I am that do get run a bunch over a short period of time, as long as you inspect everything. So throw any follow-ups in there. I'm going to see. Throw any follow-ups in there, and I will come back to you. But I'm going to scroll back up to the top here and see. All right, so there was Silver Stranger, Atomic. Thank you for answering my questions. You're very welcome, Atomic Media. I love to hear stories of people that's like, who was it that just said that my checklist saved them from buying the wrong boat? That, like, the checklist is free. You get on my email list. I'm going to email you. You probably watch some videos. I but that makes me feel so good that somebody didn't get in a terrible situation and doesn't say, "Boating's stupid. The best 2 days in the boater's life are the day you buy it and the day you sell it," or "Break out another 1,000," and boating, why would you best thing is to have a neighbor with the boat. Because I know for a fact that that's not true. I know if you buy the right boat, that you can be like, "This opens up a whole new world that I didn't know existed, and it's awesome." And so I love being a small part of helping, and it makes me feel good when I hear folks say that. So thank you very much. Camaro, 68 Camaro. I love your username. I love to see you stop by just so I could say 68 Camaro is here. All right, we did Silver Stranger. Let's see if he had another follow-up. Got it, thanks. Okay, cool. Um, Again, appreciate your support and all that. Um, thank you, Calvin, I appreciate that. Um, Foil, yeah, that one does look like a foil on the skeg. It's let's see if I can find. Now I've got windows open all over the place. I don't know what's going on. There we go. And it probably does act as a foil a little bit. Let's see if they say. Yeah, they don't call it a foil in any of their marketing stuff, but I would think it gives you some lift depending on, that angle right there is gonna that leading edge is gonna give you a little bit. But okay, so I think I answered your question, sustainability, or getting a yes there. I agree. Check over the boat. Took my Sea Ray, full of issues. Sea deck coming up. Corner drains didn't drain. Battery terminals. Yeah, it's and the Chris, the all manufacturers are experiencing this. I'm hearing that the SPX is coming from the Mexico factories are having more than the Sea Rays coming from the U.S. facilities. But just work. But the best advice I can give you is just work with the dealer to your best of your ability. Bolt stripped, battery terminal, stainless rub oil's damaged, doesn't close properly. So work with your dealer as best you can. And again, this is a situation where it's going to be hard as hell to do it. I think I've never been there myself. So, but um, if the boat shows up and you inspect it and there's issues that you're like, I don't know how they're going to fix this. Your best choice may be, I don't want the boat. It's going to be hard to do because especially it's, Memorial Day is 4 weeks away now, and you say, "No, I don't want it." And now what am I going to do? You should get your deposit back from a good dealer, or, all right, dealer, you can see this, right? Let's this, that. I'm writing a $60,000 check. Unacceptable, right? What are we going to do to make this acceptable? Most dealers, in my experience, and I know a lot of them, um, most dealers are going to step up and take care of you. And so what can you work out? Get it in writing, and then make the decision. I had this conversation with a guy that just took delivery of a Harris that had a dented fence rail. I think it was a Harris. Got damaged in transport, which happens. And I was like, we think we talked about this on the live a couple weeks ago. It's like, get them to say, yes, this damage is here. We're going to fix it, but run that boat for the season and get it fixed in October when you're putting it away, which is, he had already done that. He's like, I didn't need you to tell me. I figured that out. I wanted to run this boat all year, but can I run the boat with these issues and then have it fixed? Because if they take that boat now, you're not getting it back till minimum 4th of July, but probably after that if it's that number of issues. And if they send it back to the factory, forget about it. You're not getting it back for the season. Once it goes to the factory, you go to the back of the line. They're churning out new boats and they'll take care of yours when they can. But now you got nothing, and you're making payments, and your money's all tied up in it. So um Prop guards are good for not clipping manatees. That's about it. The first thing you'll hit at speed, rip right off. Yeah. It's I just I don't know. I'm not my safety is I'm going to do smart things. I'm going to do smart things as the operator of this boat, as the captain of this boat. And I think a lot of those things they sell to the fear of people that don't know. But I would prefer maybe self-serving. I would prefer to, go through a program like this, go through a safe boating course, go hire a local captain, and learn what you need to know. Um, Learn what you need to know to be able to boat confidently and smartly. So, um, all right, how much depreciation should you expect wake boat? Um, all right, so we talked about not concerned about the number of hours, but the depreciation is a different question. Um, when you go into NADA, you can put hours in. Um, I don't know how to answer this. It's definitely gonna be more than if the boat only had 200 hours on it or 100 hours on it, but I don't know how much more. Here's I'm gonna give you this as a freebie. Everybody here, this is the one of the negotiation pieces that is in the, that's in the First Time Boat Buyer Academy. So it seems very, very simple, but I get email after email after email from people saying that this saved me another 2,000, this saved me another 2,500 on what I thought was the best deal I could get. So just say, hey, this that seems too much for having 400 hours on. I'm really struggling with it. I like the boat, but it seems like a lot of hours. Blow it up into a big, big deal. Okay. And then you say, you're asking whatever, 93,000. Um, God, is that the best you can do? And just leave it at that. Here's what will happen with 99% of the salespeople out there is they'll say, "Oh, I can't say yes, that's the best I can do," because then he might walk. And this works even better if there's multiple salespeople at a dealership, because you'll be like, oh, but they can sell the boat to a number of people. But if they've got multiple salespeople, that salesperson thinks, oh crap, if I lose this sale, I know Timmy's got another guy that's ready to buy it, and I'm going to lose the commission. So, is that the best you can do? They would rather beat up their manager or owner for a price discount than to lose a sale, a commission that they might already have spent. So that question works incredibly, incredibly well. There's other things that you can ask for that I talk about in the First Time Boat Buyer Academy, but I usually don't give that. Like for $47, it's going to save you at least a couple $100, if not a couple $1,000, and it's well worth it. And that's just one of the little things in the First Time Boat Buyer Academy. But use that, and then if they say, "Well, we can go down to 91,000," you're like, oh, "Gosh, dang!" Ask a couple other questions, like 91,000 for 400 hours. Is that the best you can do? And then you just keep asking that question over and over and over. And it's when you just ask it and stop, it's like something in their brain goes haywire. They're like, I know how to negotiate, but I don't know how to negotiate that question. And it works incredibly well. And if they say, yeah, that's the best we can do, then no, okay, this is as good as I can get on this boat at this time. Um, Now, do I want to do it or not? You can go to NADA and put in the hours, but I don't think that's going to give you anything that's yeah, it just this right now in this market, it's hard for NAD to keep up with everything, and with that number of hours, I don't think it's going to reflect maybe an extra 5% discount. But use that strategy if you want to hear me explain in a little bit more detailed way. You can get firsttimeboatbuyer.com will take you to the academy, and you can check that out there. Um, So over 200 hours on my bass boat last year. So yeah, that the fishermen, the wake surfers, all those guys are running their boats a lot, and put on more hours. So, um, imagine the prop guard hit the prop. Yeah, it's those prop guards. I'm not a huge fan. Should you expect on a wake boat? All right. Second thoughts. All right. So keep the questions coming. This is we hit our record with 41 people. I'm going to turn the light on here. I was seeing my video screen, the lights were dimming and everything. It was getting too dark in here. Um, how long should I wait to buy a new pontoon boat? Um, it depends. So, Mike, why do you want to wait? What's your reason for waiting? Um, what's your reason for waiting to buy a pontoon boat? Is it I think there's going to be big price discounts, or how long am I have to wait if I order a boat? How long until I get it? Give me a little bit more clarity, and I'll come back to you. I'll look for you. That's right, the Trophy Bayliner. Um, I knew you had just gotten a new one, but I couldn't. It wasn't clicking with me what it was. Um, um, Hey, listen, I always say there's only one person in the world that's got the biggest boat. Everybody's always jealous of it. It doesn't matter if it's the right style of boat for you, whatever. There's everybody's jealous of somebody else's boat. There's somebody jealous of every boat out there too. Um, that's funny. Pretty sweet. V makes it hard to get into the shallow waters at the Gulf. All right. And Luis, thanks for the contribution. Hopefully I answered all of your question there, and hopefully that was valuable, the negotiation piece for you. And like I said, just dip back in the comments if you want to go more. Um, yeah, the ride's a little different on the Element. You're welcome, Silver Stranger. Thoughts on the Hurricane boats? You know, Hurricane's a good value boat. They're definitely you start pounding on the fiberglass, you start looking at the hinges, you start looking at the amount of plastic they use. It's in the value category. Um, but you get a lot of boat for the money. If you're running freshwater lakes, you're fine. Um, You know, it's if you know that, hey, you're going to get a few extra rattles, your plastic is going to discolor maybe a little bit on any of the starboard pieces that they have that are covering the ladder. Some of them they use it on the anchor locker. You're going to get some little discolorations. Some little things are going to kind of not match up right on the hatches and the latches and things like that. But when it's down to it, it's got a Yamaha on the back, same as the Grady White, same as the formulas. They've got Yamahas on the back there, or they probably got Mercury's, but um, it's got the same power plant, which is 50% of the boat, and the thing that keeps it running. So yes, it's a value boat, but it's perfectly safe. It's a perfectly good boat. It's a boat that's going to give you a lot of fun. What I like about them is on most of their layouts, they're nice, big, and wide. I loved their fun decks in the '90s, early 2000s. Their fun deck, like half pontoon, fiberglass hull. Those boats to me, before Tri-Tunes kind of really hit the market, those boats to me, yes, they ride a little bit rough and heavy chop, but they're a great family boat. So, it's know what you're buying, know what you're getting. It's not top of the line. And yet it will give you a really, really fun time on the water and give you money to pay for gas and to fill up the cooler, to go out to dinner still, and you're not all tied up in your boat if the budget is a concern, which it is to 95% of the people that listen here. The budget comes into play, and I would rather get the boat that allows me to have the extra money, so I'm not stressed about, oh, we got to go on the boat this week because it costs us too much. So hopefully that helps you on that. And I do have my best and worst videos coming out soon. And I did Starcraft, Stingray, Hurricane in the deck boat series. So I'm going to compare those three, and then the Chaparral deck, Sea Ray deck, and who else was there's one more that was in there on the more premium end, but you're talking, $10,000-$20,000 more on that. So, um, all right. We got a lot of comments coming in, which is awesome. Keep them coming. I'm trying not to miss anybody here. So, you guys are killing me with you think high hours, Yamaha Suzuki, 1,000. So, Richard, are you a commercial guy? Because that is different. I always preface when I talk about hours on a boat for pleasure boaters. And the reason why is pleasure boaters will run their boat and then it'll sit for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Commercial guys, even if you're just a guide or something like that, you're running your boat maybe every day, 3, 4 times a week, which is better for the engine. You're going to get more hours out of it because you're going to change your oil every 3 months. You're going to change your gear lube every 3 months. You're going to change your impeller every year. That is different than the engine that runs, sits, runs, sits, runs, sits, in my opinion. So, I'm curious. My gut tells me that you're probably a guide, run commercial boats or something like that. So, I'd be curious what your usage looks like. Wake platform, stern drives. Are wake platforms for stern drives goodbye? Just a waste of time and money asking for a better wakeboarding experience. I'm not sure, Saint, what you mean by wake platforms. Um, if you're talking about like the wake shapers, if that's what you're talking about, give me a little bit more thought on that because I'm not sure I understand the question completely, and I don't want to go off on a tangent that's not even close to what you're saying. Thoughts on trailer trolley after watching? I haven't used one. I haven't. I should say I haven't used the trailer trolley specifically, but the people that I know have used it. It's it's a lifesaver. It works really well. I don't know about the electrical. I've only used and seen used the manual ones. The robotic one, I don't know. I don't have any experience with that. Um, but it makes it much easier. Now yours is a dual axle, which makes maneuverability a little bit trickier with I've only used it with the single axle. Okay. When you put the dual axle on, you've got four wheels right together, and trying to get it to turn and get right into spot could be difficult. Um, so my gut tells me that it might work for you. Um, who is Rob? Rob bought a Harris, was on the podcast from just outside Raleigh. He has a really tight, not a building, but those little garage awning things that he put on his property. And he uses his little tractor, his little like lawn tractor, UTV thing to put it in and pull it out. And then he'll hook it up to his truck and roll. He'll back it up to about where he wants it, hook that up, and then maneuver it because he's only got inches on each side of the legs, and if he hits something, the whole top is coming down because it's the aluminum poles. They're popular down here in the South where you don't necessarily need to be inside. So I'll check a little bit more on that, see if I can find anybody that's got experience. If anybody else has, it looks like, see, Brock is like 2 steps ahead of me on some of these questions. Yeah. So, okay. So he had a good experience as well. Went through Marine Max, pretty awesome. Yeah. The dealer, Silver Stranger, the dealer I used to work with is now a Marine Max. And, I've met several of the people, done a little bit of stuff for them. And, their approach, their attitude from the top level management is, is what I would hope for the reputation of the dealer that I worked at. It's what I would hoped for them to continue on, kind of the legacy that their dad started back in the early 70s. The 2 sons took it over and built it even bigger and better. And customer service and taking care of people was always key. So when Marine Max took over, I was like, oh, crap, they're going to go corporate and things are going to be bad. They have gone corporate, but service is still something that is very important for them. So awesome, Brock. Thanks again for all the value that you add here. Very appreciated. Unfortunately, I only have a slip at the marina for the next couple of months till my lift and pier are installed. Would the tubes come clean? Would just yeah. If you pull it and do it in this order, pull it, and while it's still wet, get the pressure washer. So get everything set up as you're going to do it, and then hit that pressure washer on it, and you're going to be totally fine. If you really want to get them extra shiny, you can use like the Tune Bright spray on them. It'll give a little bit of a shine, not like the polished high shine that I think is a waste of time personally. But if you, the Starbright will get, or Tune Bright, not Starbright, Tune Bright will give you a really good look with minimal effort, and then a power washer will do the trick. Yeah, the Tune Bright. Let's see if I can find it. And you can get this at just West Marine. And it's not gonna do any etching or anything like that. That's gonna cause problems. But a gallon of it for $30, pretty inexpensive. This is at Overton's. You can get it at West Marine. You can get it pretty much anywhere. And I think you'll have good luck with that if you even need it. Like I said, if you pull it and it's wet, it's going to spray. It's going to spray right off, especially after that short of a period of time. In months, you're not going to get that much growth on it. And I've even seen a year or more come off. Power washer is going to get it. It stains it a little bit over time, but in 6 months, you're going to be in good shape, especially since the water hasn't got real hot. I don't know where you are exactly, but the warmer the water, the faster the growth. So come like July and August around here in the Carolinas where I'm at, that's when the growth really accelerates quickly. So, but this time the water's still cool enough that the growth isn't going too rapidly. Thank you. It's amazing. And I say all the time, I don't know. There's a whole bunch of stuff I don't know about boating, and people call me out on it all the time on the comments. So it's always nice to get a comment like that. Thanks, another critic. That's what the Homework Guy channel says. He deals in cars though. It's a classic. It's a classic negotiation technique. I learned it from a mentor of mine back in, oh shoot, what would that have been? 2003, 2004, something like that. And it was just some offhanded conversation. He's like, "This is the best negotiation technique you can use." And I was like, "Oh, that's good." So I've used it for just anything. and it's nice and easy, and it's friendly, which is what I like about it. It keeps the relationship friendly, because you want a good relationship with your dealer, right? Is that the best you can do? You're not saying yes. You're not saying no. You're not saying I'm going to walk. You're not being playing hardball. You're not being a pushover. It's just nice and easy. And they're like, is that the best? It's a yes and no answer. So I can't, tiptoe around it. They haven't planned for it. It's just, it's a good one. It's a really good one. I have to watch the homework guy. I've never seen that one. Call a boat loan person, ask them if they know any dealers that have X boat in stock that want it gone. That's really good. Another critic that now this time of year, I don't know how many of those are around. My guess is you used that a couple years ago or more, but that's an awesome tip. That is a really, really good one for sure. Because they know what pieces of inventory are starting to have the curtailment payments on it and starting to cost them actual cash money. Freshwater, brackish water, what's the difference? So freshwater, Robin, it's going to go you're at the coast, so you're saltwater here. You go up the river a little way towards freshwater, it's going to turn brackish, which means it's still salty, but not full salt of the ocean, or the bay or the inlet or whatever. And then you get to a point where finally all the salt goes away. Everything in the middle is brackish. And because the salinity is different, the way the harshness of the salt of the ocean side, that harshness starts getting less and less and less as you get brackish, and then you get to freshwater. There's no salt, and that whole corrosiveness goes away. And so that's the difference. If I'm running in brackish water, though, I'm going to treat it like I'm in salt. I'm going to flush my engine. I'm going to rinse everything with fresh water when I get done with it, and I'm going to follow all of the steps that I would do if I was in salt water. If I was in brackish, so hopefully that helps. Um, Hopefully that helps answer that question for you. Being on the water, getting back to shore, only thing I care about. Yeah, get back safely. All right, cool. We still got some good questions rolling in. We're at an hour here, so I'm gonna pause and do my commercial here in a little bit. But looking for a used boat, Pro 450. I don't know anything about that boat. Let me pull it up here. Um, all right, so I don't know anything about this. Pro supercharged Yamaha 450. Um, Unfortunately, Jorge, um, I can't give you any insights on this. Um, Superchargers. Yeah, if somebody else has some experience that that knows this company, drop them in there. But I'm not familiar with them, so I can't give you any insights there. Let's see here. One more, and then we will do a quick little commercial, and then we'll come back. So if you've got a question waiting that hasn't been answered, I'll get to it. Just be patient with me. Trawler boats, thoughts. Robin, it all depends. It all depends on how you're going to use it. My wife and I'm 47. My wife is a little bit younger than me. We've got two young kids. If you may have seen them in some of the videos. So we've got, another 10 years of them through high school. And, but we've talked about doing the Great Loop, maybe going up and down the East Coast. And a trawler is, in my mind, that's the boat. that's the boat that would be perfect for living aboard, being full-time cruisers for 6 months at a time. That's the right style of boat in my mind. You're just gonna be cruising. You're not worried about speed. You need the space. You've got the deck that you can have some outdoor living area almost. Uh, but it depends on what you wanna do. So, if you haven't, get the toolkit. If you're real early in the process, get the toolkit. It kind of walks through, and the big question is, and we talk about in the First Time Boat Buyer Academy too, is what does 80% of what you want to do on the water, what does that look like? What's the 80% look like that you're gonna do? And what's the 20% look like that you're gonna do sometimes? And that will lead you to the right style of boat. You can also watch the video. Um, any of my first time boat buyer videos. Um, there's actually a playlist, advice for first time boat buyers. If you go to this playlist right here, first time boat buyer part 1, part 2, it's almost a hour and 10 minutes worth of stuff. That's a great place to start. Boat types explained is another good one. Drive types. I just made a note to myself today as I was at the Y in the sauna after working out that I need to redo this video, um, and shorten it up, make it a little bit more concise. But these videos right here will get you right on the right path. Okay. So, all right, real quick, we'll do this. If you're a newer boat owner, grab the Boater Bootcamp, boaterbootcamp.com. If you are a boat shopper early in the boat buying process, ready to buy the boat, and you haven't got it yet, get the Boat Buyers Toolkit. These are both free. Boatbuyerstoolkit.com, or if you just go to boatersecretweapon.com, you can get both of them there. Give me your email address. I'll send them to you. They've got videos, they've got downloads. They're super valuable. They're totally free. And then if you are a buyer, the First Time Boat Buyer Academy, it's got that negotiation piece that we talked about. There's a bunch of other stuff. I call it the 7 savvy steps to buying a boat. Um, Chris talked about this in his little testimonial about his ability to handle a boat improved. This is the program he went through. The best boat captain on the water. There's the pontoon version, and there's trailer like a pro and tow water sports with confidence. If you've never backed a trailer down, not really sure how to handle things at the ramp, this will give you the confidence that you need. If you've not towed water sports before, I put my girls in the big Mabel. You can see here, and put my oldest on the wakeboard. She was just learning at the time, and it was perfect. She we Here's some things. As the driver, you have as much control over their success as they do. So here's how you pull them. Here's how you come and bring the rope around. Here's how you do it safely. Here's the demeanor. They give you some tips, signals to use. All of that stuff is in those 2 programs in there. I'm super proud of them. And if for whatever reason, any of my stuff you're not happy with, they all have a guarantee. If you're not happy, just ask for your money back. You get it. No hassle, no rigmarole, no runaround, no nothing, just your money back. Because if you're not happy, then I don't deserve the money. So, all right, back to this. Thanks for answering my question, Captain. Signed a purchase agreement on a CC21. Looking forward to getting family on the water, some fishing and tubing. That's awesome. Congratulations, Tony. I'm not sure what CC21, Center Console 21, I'm guessing, but I don't know what brand. It doesn't, honestly, it doesn't really matter. You're getting you and your family out on the water. You're going to have a great summer. So learn what you need to do. Get that boater boot camp if you haven't, Tony. If you're a first time boat owner, you'll be glad you did. There's a lot of stuff you don't know right now as you get into this world, and this boater boot camp will open your eyes to a lot of it, so you don't make a costly mistake, or something that's going to keep you off the water a little bit. So a wake platform for a stern drive, basically flat metal fin that sits horizontally on top of the prop, about 1.5 feet long. It sits horizontally on top of the prop. So I don't know. I've not seen that before. My guess is what it's for is to keep you from falling into the prop. It that I'm not sure if I'm right or not, but it seems like that is what you're describing, that what the benefit would be, but I've not seen it, I've not experienced it, I don't know anything about it. So, send me, if you don't mind, email me the link if you see it pop up again, and, because I like to stay up to date on what's going on, and new product things, and kinda, there's a link to the product. Yeah, cool, send that to me. Richard, wasn't being a critic, love the channel, just yeah, it's funny, offshore commercial boaters, um, Sebastian in Florida run offshore 3 times. Yeah, it's funny because there's a difference in my mind, and you probably experience it firsthand. I'm a pleasure boat guy. Even when I was on the water every day, I was running 2, 3, 4 different boats every day. But I was at a marina and I saw these boats that would get used and then they would sit, and they would get used and they would sit, and then something would break and they'd be like, "I don't understand. I just used it 3 weeks ago and everything was perfect." And you have to explain is mechanical things, when you sit them and you don't use them for a period of time, a lot of times that's when they break. It's not when you're running them consistently and maintaining them consistently. Those tend to run great, because the oil is always being lubricated, they're always being exercised, they're always doing what they were meant to do, and then they wear out, but that comes after a long time. It's the ones that get used and then sit, that now the oil is not getting moved through things. Now they start to seize up. Now they start to get corrosion on them and stuff like that. And I think that's the biggest difference. And that's probably one of the biggest challenges that pleasure boat companies have to deal with is how can we limit those types of issues? So, and I didn't, Richard, I didn't take that as a dig or anything. I that is a conversation that, that's a conversation I try to explain to people, and I've started giving that caveat of, "This is my pleasure boat," because I got that comment a lot when I said the useful life of a Mercruiser engine is, or a Mercury or a Yamaha, is about 1,000 to 1,500 hours. And I've got 3,000 on mine. I've got 5,000 on mine. And I'm like, no, 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 no. That for pleasure boaters, that's my take on it. So, I did a 19, but 92. That's awesome. That is a technique that I'm gonna keep in my little toolbox. Another critic. That is a great strategy, and that is a great deal too. Um, and you're welcome. Is there a Carfax for boats? How reliable is their information? There is. There's several of them, and I did a video on it. Let's see here. I did a video on it. Is there a Carfax for boats? I did this about 5 months ago. Boat History Reports is the name of the company that I recommend. I've known their VP of sales, Caroline Mantell, for, oh shoot, I met her maybe 5 or 6 years ago. Super nice lady. They're doing a lot to try to systematize all of the states to use the same titling mechanisms for boats, title trailers in all states, and title outboards in all states, so that there can be easier tracking of theft, of salvage, of things like that. I think it's like $50 for one, and then like $65 for 3 of them or 5 of them or something like that, a package if you're in shopping mode. I recommend them. I think they're great. I think it, what I try to share with people is look for red flags. Too many red flags, it's time to walk, but know all the red flags for $50. I think it's an easy, let's make sure that there's not a red flag in the paperwork of things that the, you know, even if you're buying a $30,000 boat, let's make sure that there's not something that's going to be left with nothing. Are they perfect? Absolutely not. And I talk about this in the video is they're good, but they're not bulletproof. They're not 100%. There's certain things that can happen that just won't get found. And so they're by no means 100%, but you're reducing the risk even more. Some dealers will have a relationship with them. They've focused a lot on working with dealers to get them to offer them like the Carfax, like it just standard. We have a boat fax or a boat history report on every used boat that we sell. And they do special pricing so they can do that. But as a consumer, you can buy it for $50, we'll say. And I've got a link in there. I make a couple bucks off it, just full disclosure, if you use that. But I've also had other boat history report type companies reach out to me, and they were saying, "Hey, we'll give you 50%." They were going to pay me more for the same type of recommendation, the same type of relationship. And after asking the questions, what databases do you hit? How accurate is the information? What states are you in? Boat history report is head and shoulders above the others that I've talked to on how detailed their information is, but with the caveat that none of them are 100% boat history report included. So you can watch that to get a little bit more, 7 minutes long, a little bit more detail. All right, Robin, welcome to the group, by the way. And there's a ton of resources in the channel. These lives, there's a ton of resources just within the lives and the people in the chat. So read the comments. You'll probably pick up some interesting stuff. Join us here on Sundays. We're here every Sunday, 8:30 Eastern time. And if you got a question, you kind of see how it works, throw it in there. And please, no spam this poor man. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I got a workout in. I hit the sauna, which I love. That's what I go to work out for, is to sit in the sauna and get a good sweat going. And got a shower, so I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. Supercharger. It's a supercharger on a 19. Jorge, I don't have the technical expertise to give you any insights on that. I wish I did. I'll try to do some research and see what I can come up with. But I don't have enough to share with you right now off the top with it, and I try to limit myself to where I can answer a legitimate answer without doing a lot of research. But I'll try to research that and see if I can find something that is good, bad, and different. Great loop, definitely my plans. Sea Ray 330 to 40 is not the only plan for the boat. Your thoughts? It's fine. That is a perfectly suitable boat, Travis. I would say, how many people are going to be with you? Because a 33 footer seems like a big boat. It's tiny when you're living on it 7 days a week. If you're here's what I used to tell people, that I sold Sea Ray, so I know the 330. I've been down to the Sea Ray Yacht Expo. I've been on everything that they built, from a 24-foot Sundancer to the 60-footer. I've never got on the Sky Bridge ones, but I've been on all of them. And I say, listen, if you are a weekend condo, a condo on the water, 33 is perfectly fine. If you're going to be spending 2-3 days as a couple, maybe a family of young kids, you're okay with that. As you get to spend a week on the boat, the Sundancer, it doesn't have a ton of room on the cockpit, on the deck, like the trawlers do. So you don't have that extra living space. The bow, it's nice, but it's not really useful living space. It's fine for sunning and stuff like that. So if you're going to be with two people and you're going to be, all the time, I would start leaning towards the bigger. The 38 starts to get extra beam on it, which gives you extra width and extra living space inside. It makes a tremendous difference. But here's what I would tell you: go to a boat show, go to a dealer that sells these style of boats, and whoever you're going to go on the loop with, sit with them and just sit down in that cabin for an hour. And you'll be like, and just kind of like pretend to make a meal, pretend to get ready in the bathroom, and you'd be like, oh crap, that 33 gets real small real quick. So, but that, I think that's a good experience to do. Another good thing to do is boats also feel smaller in the water typically, is go to Boat Setter, go to Get My Boat, and rent one for a week, or not for a week, for a weekend. Rent one for a day and overnight on it. They'll probably give you a captain, or the way they rent them out varies depending on who owns the boat. But if you're competent to run it, go out for a day or two and overnight on it and really get the sense as you get closer and closer to that great loop adventure, which to me is an ultimate adventure. I've got a business mentor of mine that I've worked with that 50s, I would say. They've got a YouTube channel. It's called My Floating Home, I think. But they sold the house. Kids are out of college. Kids are all grown up, grandkids. They sold the house that they'd been in for 30 years, sold everything. And they've been going up and down the East Coast from Rhode Island down to Florida for the last 3+ years on a 50-foot carver. And I've been out with them on that boat, and they're like, it's amazing. They absolutely love it. So it's an adventure that that I think a lot of people talk about doing, but the ones that do it, I think, really get a lot out of it. Ordering a boat, they said 5 months. Yeah, right now, good guys, it's absolutely normal. Matter of fact, who was it? I think Brock said that Sportsman was given 6 months on their time frame. So it's not uncommon at all. If you started at the beginning of this, I was saying that, and if you watch this spring boat buyers market right here, if you can see that red one, spring 22, I just recorded that on the 26th of April. And that's exactly what I say in that is a lot of models are sold out for 2022. A lot of brands are totally sold out for 2022, and they're selling production spots for 2023. And that's what I would expect right now. 75 hours on a, yeah, that's that number of hours. If that's what you were asking, is a, like I said, when Silver Stranger asked his question, 50 hours a year is about average for lake boaters, freshwater inland lake boaters. They sit at anchor most of the time. And unless they're fishing or surfing or water sports. And so that seems like a very reasonable number. 99 Doral, leaking oil out of the drive. I'm not a tech. I'm not a mechanical guy, but it's probably a seal, or something froze over the wintertime and something cracked. But the first thing I would do is pull the prop, and I would see. Well, the first thing I would do is it oil or is it gear lube? I guess that's the first thing I would do is, what is it? But my gut tells me it's either a seal that's gone bad. That is a pretty easy fix if you're mechanically inclined. If you're not mechanically inclined, take it to somebody that specializes in that type of Mercruiser or Volvo, whatever it is. If you are mechanically inclined, pull the prop, see if you can figure out where that's coming from. Is there a fishing line all wrapped around your prop shaft that may have cut into something? Can you wipe it and start to see where that drip is coming from? Do you see a crack somewhere? Can you drop the lower unit and see what's going on a little bit better? Pressure test it to see where it's coming out. But yeah, it's too open-ended of a question, and I'm, without seeing it, even seeing it, I might not be the right guy to give you the answer, but those are a couple of things to think about. Yeah, even good guys on a 15 whaler, not surprised at all. Who was it? Oh, I had a guy that bought a Montauk that I think said he took 6 months to get his. That was a while ago, but all right. So last couple of questions. I'm gonna stop here. I'm going to go through and kind of pick out some, but yeah, Silver Stranger. I appreciate the financial support, but I always love to see your hit the like button, people. It makes a difference. It does make a difference. I agree. AC, just wondering supercharger might have on the engine. Okay. All right. I'm going to have to skip the supercharger engines. That, like I said, I'm not a technician, and some of that gets out of my league a little bit. Um, Always a gamble. Used surveyor. Yeah, surveyor is always key. And that checklist that's in the toolkit is similar to a checklist, not as detailed, but similar to the checklist that a surveyor would have. Just making sure that that you don't miss anything. Awesome. Love to know your experience with pros and cons, boat restoration versus buying new. Um, it's so I talk about it in this video here. Old. Tips for buying older boats. So here's, I think right now, especially as this market is hot, that you can restore a boat and turn it and probably do really, really well. The thing that you got to be aware of is you can't just look at surface level things on boats. You have to understand that if there's softness in the transom, you tap on that transom and you hear that dull sound, there's water in there. If you are looking and there's a soft spot on the floor, you've got some rot going on. You don't know the full extent of that until you start ripping into things. You start ripping into things and you've got nothing until you get all the way to the source and rebuild it up with good, strong components. It's messy, it's hard work, it's time consuming. And if you don't know what you're doing, it's easy to make mistakes. If you're not inclined to doing that kind of work and you don't know what you're doing, it's even worse. And there can be times when you restore the boat and the value of it is less than what you put in it. That's the big thing that you have to know the market well enough to know, if I put 10 grand in this boat, hours and material, value your hours however you want to, but account for your time. Am I going to come out and be able to sell the boat for at least more than what I have in it and make money? Or am I just doing it for a fun project to do with my kids? And hey, this is about building relationships, which, okay, take the financial part out. Are you willing to invest that amount of money in it for that experience? That's kind of my take on it. I've never restored a boat. I don't have those skills. I don't have the patience. I don't have the detail to do it well anyway. And as I said, I don't have the mechanical know-how to do a lot of that. So it's nothing I've ever jumped into. Been negotiating with Ben QX. The sales rep just told me 2 other buyers come in to look at it. Think you got a fair price. Now I'm paying 3. Yeah, last August. Yeah, it's um, the Bennington. Okay, that's right. Sustainability got the Bennington QX. Yeah, and it depends on the dealer you're working with and how much inventory they were able to get allotted. There's a lot of things that go into it, but that's awesome that you did have to pay the price increases as well. When I buy a house, I get 2 inspections. Not all inspections are equal. Probably even more true in the boat world. Absolutely, George. George Orwell 2020. Surveyors their work can vary dramatically. Fred Wright is the surveyor I recommended for all my clients, because Fred was the most expensive, but Fred went through that boat with a fine tooth comb. I had other surveyors that came in, and I was trying to sell the boat. So the salesperson isn't always the best person to get the referral from, because if that surveyor finds issues and you don't bind the boat, the salesperson doesn't make anything, and the seller's probably upset because their boat was perfect. It didn't have these issues until the salesperson took it. So sometimes salespeople will recommend the guy he's inexpensive, but the buyer feels good because they got a survey but the surveyor went through and did a, half-ass kind of job. So you really got to make sure that you get a good surveyor that's reputable and that's going to do a detailed work on that boat. That's a great a great little tidbit there from George. Thank you for bringing that up. Got to document my buyer's experience. I bought homes, investment, commercial properties. Yeah, it's really amazing that buying a boat isn't what, people that buy boats, especially like the Bennington Q. I mean, that's not an inexpensive thing. You've bought a lot of things. If you're buying that boat or a whaler, it really doesn't matter what it is. If you're buying a boat, you bought other toys, you bought vehicles, you've bought stuff, but it's just the boating world's different. The boating world's a little odd. And that would be a really cool experience. So um it's good to have ZKR99. It's good to have you on. I haven't seen you on there for a while, but you're always good for a good, funny comment too. I appreciate that. It's good to have you. All right, so we're an hour and a half. I'm gonna call it quits. It's 10 o'clock here. I think I got through everything. I really appreciate everybody. I appreciate. I appreciate those that made the contribution. Hopefully, you got the answer you were looking for and even more. So, Luis, thank you. Silver Stranger, thank you, of course. Um, if anybody is interested in that ambassador program, just shoot me an email. Um, Shoot me an email here, and I'll send you some details on it. And thank you guys. I appreciate it. Good night, everybody. We'll see you next week.